Tiara?
Good, you?
Not so bad. Did I hit your laugh button?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh man. So yeah, I've had a little more preparation time on this. I've taken a little more preparation time.
Yeah, you deep dived into this
so
episode.
It doesn't feel like I was so behind, but I think I'm good. But before we get into the show and our guest and who our musical folks are, because this is going to be an awesome show. I'm really excited about this show. But anyway, I want to talk about growth real quick. So we just finished up August. This is our first show of September. We are recording September 1st. This will come out on whatever is that the 4th is
sure.
Yeah. Is
I should
Thursday.
know that.
Yeah.
School starts Wednesday.
So
I should know that.
Between July and August, we've had 125% growth. Wow. And then, we had our cosplay contest.
Right.
Oh yeah, I know. Last episode I talked about. Well, and the week prior to that we hit 15,000. Then we hit 16,000. Mm-hmm. Well, like that, we've hit 16,000, and now we've hit 18,000.
Yeah, it was 17 and then overnight last night.
Yeah, we hit 18. Yeah. So we're like hitting 2,000 downloads a week. So that's going to kick us up another level.
Yeah, but that's all just since we switched.
To Transistor,
yeah.
And Transistor's been a great partner, great to work with, and we are now an affiliate with them. So yeah, I think I've got our link for that for anybody who wants to do podcasting, and we kind of get a little kickback refunded,
referring
or whatever.
A friend thing.
Yeah. And speaking of having go up the next level, we've had a couple of things. We have a new Patreon patron who at the $5 level on our Patreon page, we offer, number one, you can be on the show if you want, or we can give you a, if you're promoting something, whether it's your own business or your own show, what have you,
right.
We will do that. And we've got this new, Patreon patron, Shane Winsma, I think out of, the Chicago area. Yeah. And so I had messaged them and said, these are the options. These are the shows. I think we have 2 shows available left for season 6 for what's available. And all of season 7, which we don't know about, but we know is coming.
Right.
But anyway, Shane said, happy Saturday, Dean, and my best to your lovely wife, Tiara. Congrats, on all of your success. I've been listening for a couple of weeks and just finished season 3 wrap up. The interview with Tyler was amazing, and you guys are not, as are you guys, not surprised that it's taken off the way that it has. I would love to be on the show rewatching season 6, episode 1 right now, which is the one I would pick between us girls. But I'm going to take you up on the other offer about promoting something, because that's what I appreciate about yous. And the reason I definitely have to read this is because what's happening for them is happening September 7th and 8th. I'm going to be writing
which will be this weekend.
This coming weekend.
Yes.
So yeah, if this is coming out on the 4th, it's coming out this coming weekend.
Yes.
Saturday and Sunday, 7th and 8th. And they said, I'm going to be riding 200 miles in the Ride for Life Chicago. The ride benefits T-PAN and HIV AIDS outreach group in Chicago. It's a 100-mile ride from Chicago to Sawyer, Michigan. A very Letterkenny type town in West Michigan. Not sure of the population, but it has problems. Then 100 miles back on the 8th. More information on T-PAN is available at tpan.org. This will be my 9th time doing this ride and raising funds for them. If any of the DGens out there would like to donate, any amount is fine. My ride donation page link is support.tpan.com/go-to/ShaneMW, and that's SHINE, M as in Michael, W as in whiskey. All the money goes to T-PAN's general fund. If they let me know they heard it from you, I'll make reference to How Are You Now? Over and out, Shane. So
awesome.
That's awesome, Shane. Good on you for doing that.
Good luck raising money for it.
9 years of doing something. That's kind of crazy. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So props to you. Also, we've started an Indiegogo campaign.
Yes.
Which covers both How Are You Now Pod and our other podcast, Podscure, which is we go out and find independent, obscure podcasts and reach out to their creators and get to know about them, what makes them tick, why they want to be in this weird business of not making any money and putting all your passion into it. But, Yeah, the last 30, it's a 30-day campaign. As of this point in time, and we're trying to get to 2,000 as our goal. $2,000 is our goal. Right now we're at 10% of our goal. We have 202. Nice. And our largest contributor right now is Valerie from Comedy Wham. And when we get to, I'm going to wait till we get to thoughts, theories, questions, trivia, because she had some questions, but there's some stuff that she wants to promote as well.
Oh, awesome. Go for it.
For Comedy Wham. But we'll get to that at the end.
Okay.
So anyway, also, so a couple of things. This is a very super powerful feminist podcast episode because of a number of factors. We have two queer people of color on the show. The band that is on,
I love them,
is this punk band out of Dallas called Lizzie Boredom, and they
best
are
band name ever. Thank you.
So badass. I was really excited to have them on, especially on this episode. It was like, I just wanted to put all the angst and anger and, I mean, because it's needed. So yeah, I was excited about that. And our guest this episode is Genesis Nunlee. Did I pronounce the last? I know I got the first name right. Nunlee, is that correct?
Yeah, it's Genesis Nunlee.
Beautiful. So, Genesis, tell us about yourself, how you got into Letterkenny, and about yourself, whatever you're comfortable sharing. How you got into Letterkenny, how you found our show, and what keeps you going.
Well, okay. So, my name is Genesis. I live in Central Texas with my partner. I got into Letterkenny when it was still Letterkenny Problems on YouTube on Play Fun Games. And I got into it because I'm from upstate New York, and that's also where I went to part of school, and that's essentially southern Canada. So it just fit exactly into like what I was used to.
Canada's belt.
Yeah, exactly. I full on admit it. Like, people will make the joke. Like, I've had people from like New York City just call us Southern Canada, and I'm standing there holding a hockey stick saying, I do not disagree.
Yes.
But yeah, what keeps me going right now is probably like disassociating by watching Netflix and playing with my very stupid cat.
What are you watching on Netflix right now?
What is it? Well, in addition to like terrible cartoons, like I'm completely okay with admitting that I like to watch Pinky Malinky, which is just this cartoon about an animated hot dog.
I have not heard of that one. Yeah. I am making a face right now that is very quizzical.
Yeah. And then on Hulu, actually, I'm watching Party Down, The Hot Wives of Orlando, and What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, What We Do in the Shadows. We need to catch up on that.
Well, we've seen the movie. We haven't watched any of the TV shows.
I saw the first episode.
Oh, did you? I didn't. Yeah.
Absolutely hilarious.
I mean, because
I love all of them.
Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi are just beautiful people.
I love the whole thing.
Yes.
And also awkward vampire. It's like me in high school.
Yeah, totally. It's like what was that MTV show that I've referenced before, where the real world vampires?
Yes.
That's essentially what it is. The show is fantastic. Like, it just literally
And how did you find us? I think I know the answer to this.
I'm a Facebook group. Like Professor Trisha would literally shit a brick. That was actually
I love that
started by this person. It was started by a person that I actually have known since I think we were 16.
Really?
Yeah. We both were in the same Rotary Exchange class. And then and so I've known, and then we also actually went to the same law school.
So this is Christian. I'm not sure. Okay. Wow. I don't know. I just look how it's spelled. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, no, but it's just incredibly, it's incredibly ridiculous because we basically lost touch, and then I saw that you'd created this group, and then we sort of just got together.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I've actually known her since I was 16, and that's how I found the group, and that's how I found your podcast.
That's badass. Nice. Mm-hmm. So let's get into some Letterkenny, shall we?
All right.
So last episode was the Letterkenny Talent Show, which was, how would you kind of describe what that episode was about?
Lots of awkward talents on display, hopefully for friends. with some uncomfortable moments and kind of more confirmation of Wayne being autistic, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. It's, I mean, there's a lot of
like every episode,
understand
more and more. You're like, see. Yeah.
I mean, and like you said, there's some things I understand.
So I've been using that to explain to a lot of people what it's like being what used to be referred to as a high-functioning autistic. There's no such thing as high-functioning, low-functioning in the real world, but people still think that way because a lot of media...
It's pretty ingrained.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
like, I'm very low-functioning in certain things. I just happen to be very social and articulate and able to, present myself as an autistic. But someone was asking me the other day, and I was like, it's literally like from Letterkenny when Wayne was like, I like what I understand. So when I understand something, it's great. When I don't understand something, I don't like it. So
no, like that.
Like trying new foods. It takes me months of someone prodding me for me to try something new because I like what I know.
Hey, Mikey, he likes it.
I think before I used Wayne as a good example of that, I actually referred to Hank Hill from King of the Hill as
I
the
can see that.
Yeah. And I see like Wayne almost like not like parroting that, but they remind me of two.
Yeah, very similar.
Very specialized interests, very like uncomfortable with social norms that are outside what he's used to. Absolutely.
Dang it, Bobby.
Exactly.
Talking about his narrow urethra in inappropriate situations.
Yep.
I mean, I may or may not have done.
I need to have my narrow
like
urethra checked.
Bizarrely good at that impression.
He can do a lot of voice characters.
I did grow up in that area.
Yes, that is true. But he can do a lot, especially Fox characters from like Simpsons and Family Guy and
Hey, Peter.
That was a good Patrick Warburton.
Do my favorite one though.
Which one?
Cleveland.
My name is Cleveland Brown.
No.
This is my family.
Wow.
He's always asking me if he can read white literature.
My wife, Loretta, does not allow me to read white literature.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Hey, anybody listening out there, if you need a voiceover actor, I'm pretty sure I know somebody who's your
I was
guy.
gonna say, like, this could be part of your reel. Like,
Someday.
Anyway,
so let's get into season 4, episode 5, The Letterkenny Leave. It's about the lifestyle. So we open up at the produce stand like we do, and Wayne says, "You got invited to a party the other day," and some chat about the McMurrays invited everybody over for a barbecue. Now Wayne says it's going to be a soft pass, which we'll talk about later because I'm not sure quite what that means. That's the first time I've heard soft pass. And so he's saying that. They're telling him that, you got to go out because it's, just once you start being in a relationship, you got to be social. And so they talk about,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it, bud.
Sure, but you can't just watch TV and have sex every night, Wayne.
Sometimes Netflix and chill just ain't enough.
Young lady deserves more than just Amazon Primes and sexy times.
YouTube and lube isn't gonna cut it.
Can't just stream it and cream it, bud.
There's more to life than a little Hulu and you screw, big brother. Gotta step out of your comfort zone.
No, there's not a goddamn thing wrong with a little PlayStation View and I service you. Not a goddamn thing. Little Project Free TV and you service me.
Little Pirate Bay with some sexual spray.
Couple of torrent sites, minus the bed light.
I'll be a little satellite and an overnight. Little satellite and pick a fight.
Invite a friend over for direct TV and a menage a three.
There's more to life than a little HBO and a go, big brother. You gotta step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, so talking to Wayne about stepping outside that comfort zone, which is not the first time.
And again, another example of Wayne's friends knowing he doesn't quite understand, so we're going to explain this social expectation to him.
Right.
True.
Right, and do it in a friendly way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, a little bit of chiding, but yeah.
That's what they do. When you're friends, you kind of roast each other in a friendly way. I mean, there's definitely roasting, but,
Oh, yeah.
But it's not, come on, asshole.
Right, right. They're not making him feel bad about doing that. They're basically just saying, come on, you could do a little more. Just step outside. Just one more step.
And he talks about how the person who named it the comfort zone was, probably because it's good and comfy. And once you get outside of that, well, that's when things can get a bit dicey.
Yeah.
And I like how one thing I noticed at that was his vocal fry.
Yeah.
I never really noticed that before until he gets really like that. And he gets in that. It's like,
True.
yeah. So they end up going over to the McMurrays, coming in through the kitchen. The McMurrays are preparing all the.
They're not wearing much.
They're not wearing much. They got their little. It's not a kimono. It's just a little silk robe.
Silk robe.
Yeah.
Silk short robe.
And so they see
Mrs.
that they're,
McMurray.
no.
What? Sorry.
Yeah, seriously.
I got distracted there.
Jesus.
Like, Bonnie McMurray is not my type. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, but Mrs. McMurray is very much approaching it.
Melissa Stefano is a gorgeous woman.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, it's not just her, it's her attitude. That's, that's what, that's sexy attitude. Sexy is attitude, for me.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I mean, and one thing you'll hear her say over and over in this episode is,
whatever you're into, that's what I always say.
and she's lit already.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
I need to remember that little catchphrase. Wherever you're so
So
Dominican.
Then McMurray says that they talk about why isn't his better half Rosie there reading a book, and then so McMurray says, all right, so they
all right, well, everybody make yourself at home. We've got cold beer and frozen marg mix.
Oh, yeah? You got blueberry, avocado, passion fruit margs?
We got agave prickly pear marg mix.
Colada mix, too.
You got kiwi, fruit, cucumber, jalapeno, pina colada.
We got charred orange, ruby red, grapefruit, pomegranate, pina coladas.
Even got daiquiri mix, too.
Oh, you got whole citrus hungry gal magic local daiquiris?
We got smoky watermelon, michelada, aqua velva, aqua fresca, super duper, super sipper daiquiris.
Good enough.
I still can't get
Daiquiris.
over that person where he says aqua velva. Like, I'm like, there's something in there that is not a good.
Yeah,
like,
that's old man aftershave.
Yeah.
It's either that or Old Spice, and Old Spice is actually making a comeback now. So I haven't seen Aqua Velva in probably 40 years. So
I don't think I've ever seen it. Like,
My dad used to wear it.
yeah,
Absolutely. My dad used to wear it. But now I'm trying to remember when the last time I remember seeing that glass bottle with the blue liquid.
Yeah, I remember because I remember the commercials from it would be an Aqua Velva man. That's
got to be the 80s.
What?
That's got to be the 80s.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then so there's another whatever you're into is what I always say, and they talking about going to have the tub, and then you hear that down below is Gail.
Well, they say, we didn't bring a suit. You didn't bring a suit? You didn't bring a suit? You didn't bring a suit?
Right. Whole
we
chat
got plenty.
about that. And so we got suits in the closet, so you don't have to worry about it. Then finally they're all down in the hot tub. So
plenty room for everybody.
So, they come down there, and Glenn's like, where's Wayne? Wayne's already off. He's like, nope, I'm not having any of this.
Having a dart.
He goes, this is way too uncomfortable for my level of the comfort zone. I'm going to be out having a dart. And they ask, hey, where is it? Out having a dart, likely. And I like because that's usually like a Wayne statement, having a dark likely, and because Wayne's not there, Katie's got to fill in that.
I just love though that like Glenn is so disappointed that Wayne was not there. Like Glenn probably went just so he could see Wayne in the hot tub.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Because he wants to be close to Christ and Wayne.
And Wayne.
And Wayne. I will always love Jacob Tierney's Glenn. His voice for that is so perfect. I mean, and Genesis, you being in Texas, I'm sure you've heard that voice from other folks.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like the person where I'm like the obviously like gay church leader or like choir director. Like it's like, yeah. It's
like Wayne doing the fake smile. You're not fooling anybody, buddy. So, and so then they get talking about their time down in Minikin, and a theme through this you'll see is Glenn dropping olives in the water, and
and Gail very eager to retrieve them.
Right. And it's, scandal. And then so
I love how he reacts to it too, because he's just like, oh.
But yeah,
like it's just like such like an oops. It's just like same way you'd react if you like drop your straw.
Right.
Yeah.
When
you drop your pen and have to bend over.
Oopsie, what did I drop in my crotch? I'm gonna use that move now. Oh yeah.
But so yeah, they talk about going to Dominican, and was Pulco partner every winter until fellas started hanging from the bridges with their dinks cut off, which is an actual thing that happened. So,
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
because of the drug wars, basically.
Yeah, drug wars. Yeah. And because all that was happening in a very touristy period. Yeah, I
remember.
So, but it was happening between gangs. It just happened to be. Because if you do it,
was very public, though.
Right? Yes. Exactly. So anyway, they one of the things that McMurray says is they're playing the Never Have I Ever game, and
which, by the way, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I played Never Have I Ever for the first time when I was like 12.
I have never
I ever
played Never Have I Ever.
Oh my God. Like every party from middle school, high school, and college, we played that game.
So it was a drinking game.
Everywhere all the time.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, they're talking about it as a drinking game.
I totally did it as a drinking game.
I didn't need a fucking reason to drink.
That's right. You were... That's right. I should have actually thought of that. There is a reason why Dean does not drink anymore.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
I'll just wait. Actually, I got to say this because I love. It's so funny how different you are from that person.
Yeah.
Texas frat boy.
Oh yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
He's not that person anymore.
I've 180'd from where I was.
You've 180'd and gone like 500 miles.
My partner works as an advisor at Texas A&M for Greek life.
Aggies.
So, yeah. Exactly,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Fucking Aggies.
Whoa. All of a sudden, I'm like painting my face in maroon. Like, I don't even
just get it done.
Oh boy.
Oh my God.
Well, I went to East Texas State University, which is now part of the A&M system anyway. So
yeah, they are kind of like the Blob in a way that is like kind of creepy.
Yeah. So yeah,
Never Have I Ever.
So yeah, they're doing the Never Have I Ever, So one thing that McMurray is like, never have I ever had strong sexual urges towards another spouse, significant other, or sibling. And he says this because when I was listening to, because I spent a lot of time doing the pre-production stuff without actually watching it. I listened to it. So I'm making the clips and all this stuff. And he says, so when he says, or sibling, my ears perked up. I was like, is he talking about wanting to fuck Bonnie? And no,
that's what I was just like.
Right. But when he says that, he's looking at Katie.
Oh dear. Okay.
So does he think that Katie and Wayne have sex?
No, I think he wants to have sex with Katie.
Well, that's obvious. He doesn't.
Yeah.
So,
like for me, the one that shocked me was when Mrs. McMurray was saying, I have never had sex with more than one person at a time. I'm literally like, wait, she's never had a threesome?
Well, no, hang on. But did she drink after she said that?
But when you're saying it, you need to say a true statement.
Oh, is that
something that you have never done?
I haven't played it.
I played it different. Like,
you've played it different?
Ways. I played it either you have to say a true statement or you can just say a statement.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, that's one thing I didn't pay attention to is whether or not she drank after she said that.
Yeah, we don't have it in here.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Anyway, so like Glenn said, that's very specific.
Hey Wayne, how's your beer? I'd have beer.
Yeah, that's when
exit Katie.
Exit Katie, followed by a bear. So yeah, then they.
You're at the
Katie
gym
takes
next,
off.
right?
Yeah, they pop over to the gym. Riley, and this is all Riley and Jonesy going back and forth talking about.
Oh my God!
Just talking about how they've plateaued and they haven't just been pros and not getting any gains, and they break it down by.
I think you're right, buddy.
Yeah, I haven't seen any gains all year, bro.
You need to make some serious gains for next season, Ferda.
Capital gains, buddy.
Coach already texted saying how the game's going, boys.
Saying what?
Saying how the game's going, boys.
Can't let Coach down, buddy.
Not an option, bro. He'll send something flying. It scares the shit out of me sometimes.
Our gains have to eclipse general team gains, buddy.
You want to be the guy walking in the room and none of the boys see gains?
The gains falls in the forest and no one's around to see it. Nobody really sees any gains.
And you don't see gains? What do you see?
Excuses.
I love the part about if the gains fall and the gains fall in the forest, no one's around to see any gains.
I do love that because it literally means nothing, but it's so them.
Yes, exactly.
It's perfect.
And just the fact that they're like tucking up their shorts so they can see all of the muscle definition, and they're trying to bodybuilder pose. And
Riley's got a bubble butt.
I have a cousin who is an amateur bodybuilder trying to be a professional bodybuilder, and oh my God,
dude is yoked.
Dude, right? I have yet. Oh my God, I can't.
This is a weird thing. I follow competitive bodybuilding.
Oh yeah,
literally. I don't compete in it at all, and I'm not really sure how I got into it. But I seriously follow competitive bodybuilding.
Well, your cousin's public, so what's
I think it's Iron Assassin, but let me double check. I had the.
His last. Well, he's a walker.
He's a walker. He's Raymond.
Raymond Walker.
But I'm pretty sure his.
So they now have they have like wrestling type names now.
Basically, yeah.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, the Iron Assassin.
IFBB pro? Was he an IFBB pro, or because I'm gonna try to find this guy on Instagram.
I do not know all of the details, but you can go. He's got a Facebook fan page as an athlete and a personal page, but he probably wouldn't add you on the personal.
That's fine.
But yeah, well,
everybody out there, go check out the Iron Assassin. That's my cousin Ray, Lil Ray,
Lil Ray. Yeah, Lil Ray ain't so little.
Lil Ray is not so little, but my dad was Ray.
Yeah.
And his brother named his son Raymond instead of just Ray. So they had Big Ray and Little Ray.
Right.
That's endearing.
Yeah. It's adorable.
Lots of walkers.
There's a lot, and we all look alike.
Oh, this is true. So they decide that they're gonna juice up because that's what they need to get them gains.
Charlotte Gaines, boys.
Yeah, Charlotte. Surge Gaines. And we'll get to that in trivia. We'll get to that in the trivia bit in a bit. Anyway, cool. We're back at the McMurrays house on the porch. Wayne's sitting out there, and Tanis shows up. Tanis, how are you now? And then, Tanis. Let's take a moment to think about Tanis.
Yeah. I will take every moment to think. I mean,
oh my God.
Tanis is my type.
She is just. Yeah. I mean, even in her personal life, she is such
the actress.
Yeah.
Yes.
So adorable.
She is. I mean,
adorable and endearing and smart
and just. I mean, fierce.
Yes.
She is bad ass as hell.
Again, just my type.
So, literally just 45 minutes of cooing over Tanis.
Yeah. Oh God, we're gonna have to do like a mini episode between seasons where we're just like Tanis.
We're gonna. We'll cover each.
Just saying her name.
We'll cover each. We'll cover each character, each of the main characters.
Oh, I like that idea. Yeah.
So Tanis gives Wayne the old.
You know what the McMurrays are up to, right?
I have an inkling.
And you don't mind leaving your girl down there with them?
She didn't make the track.
Reading?
Can confirm.
Doesn't that make you think she up to something?
Makes me think it must be a pretty good buck. Must be like Carrie.
Well, when the cat's away, the mice will play.
The rats too, apparently.
Right?
All right. I'm gonna go home. I just came here for you, boo. You know we have a really big library on the res too, eh? Really into nerdy girls. I can show you my spine label if you show me your hardcover. Anna.
I'll show her my hardcover. Jesus.
And she flicks his zipper.
I know.
Hold on.
Do you need a moment to fan yourselves?
Oh dear, scandalous.
Do you need a fan? Yeah.
Then we jump back.
And right at the end of that scene, that's when they kind of connect, where you hear Katie in the background going, "How's your beer? I'd have a beer.
I'd have a beer."
After he chugs the rest of his.
So back in the hot tub with Derry, Dan, and the McMurrays, and Glenn and Gail. they're just kind of ramping things up each and every time we're back. So about having adventures and trying new things. And Derry says, well, the other day I tried cinnamon chewing gum for the first time. It was a little bit spicy, right taste, but I can't say I didn't like it. So then, Mrs. McMurray starts playing with his leg. Thing I noticed, he's paler than me.
Yeah, that's pretty damn pale.
I'm a Scottish white boy. Yeah.
Jesus.
He doesn't burn; he freckles, and eventually, by the end of the summer, he's one big freckle.
And so then Glenn drops another olive. Whoopsie daisy.
And what was it? Wasn't that where they were calling it the golden raisin or something?
No, that was earlier on. That was the first time, yeah.
Oh, slippery little buggers. That was this one.
Slippery little buggers. Then back to the porch with this time we've added Derry, who snuck off after his stuff.
I'd have a beer.
Yeah. And so we start talking about the different types of ways they could possibly leave. And then I like this one in particular because it talks about the way this episode and something that's referenced at the end.
Guess what? What? This very well may call for the old Tokyo Sayonara.
What's Tokyo Sayonara?
Well, that's when you leave, but you only say goodbye to the cat.
Maybe this calls for... No!
What?
Maybe this calls for the Letterkenny Leave.
No.
Letterkenny Leave?
That's when you steal a 2-4 and walk through a sliding glass door.
Well, desperate times.
Desperate measures.
Now, how did Katie not know about the Letterkenny Leave?
I don't. Well, she's never had to steal a case of a case of beer before.
She's probably never wanted to leave a sex party before.
True. Yeah.
Fair.
But
she seems much more uncomfortable than I've ever seen her in anything referring to sex.
Right.
So
yeah, she's definitely more of needs a relationship around it person.
Mm-hmm.
Not that she can't do like she did on the.
It's when she gets bored,
Day.
she's done. Yeah.
So I think she's the Demi sort.
I would agree. Like I thought there was like demisexual. Like because she can maintain but she doesn't seem to require an actual relationship in order to regardless of how short it is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You're actually being intimate. Yeah.
Yeah, that's because she doesn't have very many or talk about very many one night stands. We know that she had kind of a quickie in the bathroom with Mrs. McMurray during
St. Perfect's Day.
And that's really the only time we've seen her kind of have a one-off with somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm curious if she had a crush on her for a long time kind of thing, because I consider myself Demi, and it takes, back when I was single, my friends used to joke that it would take me 3 months to have a one-night stand. So.
Because I don't think Miss McMurray counts as someone random, because it's probably someone that she A, had a crush on, and B, has known for so long.
Yeah.
So but yeah.
True.
Yeah. So then that makes sense. Yeah.
So
I like that idea.
So then the rest of them, then the McMurrays come out on the porch saying that, we need more mix. They head back in. Dan pops out for a dart, and Wayne tries to see what he thinks.
Squirrely Dan.
Wayne.
Has it occurred to you that those two may be members of the lifestyle?
Like the agricultural management lifestyle? Well, sure they are.
No, Dan. The lifestyle.
Like the livestock management lifestyle. Of course they are.
No, Daniel. The lifestyle.
Oh, the dairy farming lifestyle. You guys know they are.
Squirrely Dan!
Mm-hmm.
The lifestyle.
No, I'm not too sure what you're driving at here, big shooter.
Hey. Alrighty. Who wants to play House of Banana?
What you just said, that's pretty much how I feel about McMurray. I actually have a note in here saying, if only McMurray wouldn't talk.
You
No. no, you are not allowed to do a McMurray voice to me. No. If you ever want to have sex with me again, don't do that again.
Wow.
I like how it gets serious when Derry actually has to call him Daniel.
Yes.
Like, very rarely do you ever hear
And
his
it's like,
full
what?
name. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I still don't get it. And also, to be fair, I know plenty of people who are in other lifestyle who don't ever call it the lifestyle.
No.
Like, I have
Hard
never
no.
actually heard it called that until this. Yeah. When I think of the lifestyle, I think more of like 1970s swingers kind of thing.
That's exactly what I thought of. Because I feel like that's the only time I've seen it referenced. And even then, only in shows or movies.
Right. Yes, exactly.
So after that, we pop to the Skids basement. We got the Skids all there. Riley and Jonesy show up, and there's a whole bunch of bro talk here. I mean,
My Chemical Bromance.
The Bro Thornton, Bro Jonas. So the Jonas Brothers. Then we get to some hockey references. Jeff and Russ Quartnall. So these are hockey players, siblings who played together in hockey.
Now Stuart isn't a hockey player necessarily, and he sure knows a lot of hockey players' information.
Well, as we get to the end.
Well, I know, but we're not there yet.
So we find
as of this episode,
we find out how much he knows.
True story.
And as we do know that Tyler Johnson is a huge hockey fan.
Yes, absolutely.
And so anyway, he's like, what are you here for? You here for coke? You here for, what else do they ask for? Ecstasy, disco
Patini,
biscuits.
the cola,
Disco biscuits was
Rollsy Polsies.
Right. Yeah. And they said, no.
beans.
And what is funny to me is they said, we need some juice. Huh? Sauce, huh? Gear, huh? Steroids. A-bombs. So
Also, I appreciated the way, like, the complete disdain that Stewart had when he said, when he couldn't believe that they could have possibly been there for weed. Like, he was just like disgusted.
You can't tell me you're here for pot.
Looking for.
Right. Yeah. So he tosses over his two pill bottles, a pill bottle to each of them.
Well, for who gives from the back?
Oh, that's Darian.
Darian. So Darian hands bottles out. And then Stuart, and then Rold takes it and so it's all a handoff. Nobody ever really looks at what they're doing. Though.
So, so then when he throws them over to it, they have this conversation.
You wish to improve upon that form God gave you.
Just to have Psycho Buddy.
Ah, sweet hubris.
What's that?
Excessive pride. Or self-confidence, arrogance, egotism, pomposity. One does not simply hop on or off the Anabolia Express. No. You ride that juice train all the way to the end of the line. Choo-choo.
The most used Letterkenny gif probably in the world there.
Choo.
But I would like to point out that just a minute ago when they asked for juice, Stuart was like, what? But then he just called it the juice train.
Right.
So,
and he riffed on the entire thing in a way that like implies that he knows a lot about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they have a whole discussion about the side effects, which
it seems at first like Stuart's like, I'm gonna try and talk y'all out of it because
but then he's like, nope,
all right,
you should be good. So they finish off with we'll snipe Sally boys. Yeah, dirty fucking dangles boys. Then we're back to the hot tub.
But Rolled yelling.
Oh yeah. I love Rolled.
Love
so much.
Rolled. This I think the Skids would be completely different without the
I don't think I would enjoy them
dynamic,
as much.
Yeah, that dynamic is perfect. Back to the hot tub. Dan is the last one. It's of the Hicks. Gail and Glenn are still there. And so there's a whole discussion about their friend Juan Jorge down in Minikin, and the whole discussion of cuckoldry. And then talking about the physically superior man pleasure of his beloved wife is truly enough to excite him. And then Mrs. McMurray pulls Dan's hand out, and he's got these huge he has some really fucking big hands.
And my first thought was, ooh, she wants him to fist her.
Squirrely Dan is a snack and a half.
Right? No. Just like Lizzo, he ain't a snack. He's a whole damn meal.
True. This is true.
Amen. So Dan finds out, he's like, yeah, this Derry, how's your beer? and he's out.
But then it took Dan literally for them to go, I want you to fuck my wife, before he was like,
right.
And I'm out.
Right.
But which is kind of surprising. Yeah, well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yes.
So anyway, back to the porch. All the Hicks are there. Squirrely Dan says, maybe it's time we pull a Brexit.
I know that happened. I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
And that was before everything that's even happening now.
Right.
Like the timing of this episode is perfect for that joke.
So they talk about a Singapore scram where a helicopter flies them out of there, and Mrs. McMurray says, ain't nobody flying out of there anytime. That's all I know. Hell no, it's karaoke time. Over and out.
And the karaoke's all, what, Korean? No.
Chinese.
Chinese.
It's Mandarin.
Thank you.
Right.
I didn't write it down. I was like, God, I can't remember.
Yeah, he says Chinese, but yeah, correct. It is Mandarin.
Yes.
We're back in the Skids basement. All the Skids there, and it's got this this little student gal who's trying to do her homework.
She kind of looks like a young version, and I can't think of her name, but she played Velma in the live action Scooby.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Oh my God.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. She could totally.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what she looked like.
She was also in ER.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
that one.
I can't remember her.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I know exactly.
I will think of it later.
But she's really cute.
Yes. Whoever this actress is very cute, because I find Linda Cardellini. Woo!
Yes, there you go.
I
Linda
love
Cardellini.
my brain sometimes.
I would have never remembered. And IMDb. Okay, who the fuck was that? Okay. Anyway, so she comes looking for Ritalin so that she can help her study. So Darian comes up behind Stuart's back and hands him the Ritalin. And the thing I liked about his beard goes down Stuart's shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, right.
Again, those Skids that have no lines still have like some of the best little things.
Connor and Darian are so great.
They convey so much without even having to to speak, to the point that they're completely crucial. And it's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, like
there's no other show that has a completely silent character that isn't like.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I can think of
at all.
Harpo Marx. You know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like the vaping, exhaling through a fidget spinner.
It's still my favorite thing ever.
So yeah, they hand her the pills, and no, these are anabolic steroids, and so there's a whole.
I need my Ritz, Ritz, not roids.
So she is pissed off. Find out that they've given the Ritz to Riley and Jonesy. And
now this is probably the scene that the first time I watched it made me laugh the hardest. I thought I was going to pee my pants, and it's probably the 20th time I've seen that scene today.
And the hockey players talk 90 miles an hour as
already,
it is.
right?
Yeah. So
and this was obviously like
flexing.
It's just like grinding their teeth, just sitting there like not blinking. I don't even know if they're not blinking. That scene.
We should be ripping. We should be ripping. We should be ripping. We should be just all that. I mean, I couldn't even, the reference of we're going to need a bigger blackboard.
Right. And I love all the math on there, and there's little drawings, and Ferda is written on there.
Yeah, and so then the Snipes walk up to him and say, "What's this, boys? Nothing Snipes. Does Ritalin help get gains?" And they're like, "What?" So they realize that they've been doing the Ritalin, and so I guess we're going au naturel, bro. So back to the McMurrays. They're in the den, starting with their karaoke. And the Mr. and Mrs. McMurray are singing together, and she's got the voice of an angel, doesn't she?
She does have a pretty voice. I would like to hear her sing something that she actually knows the words to.
Yeah. Yeah,
it would be interesting to actually hear her sing something where she wasn't intending to be comedic.
She definitely has a tune in there. Like it seemed like she had to make herself go off tune on purpose.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, that drunk singing. We've all seen the three drunk white college girls.
We've all gone to karaoke. Yes.
Stephanie, get up here. Gotta sing with me.
And it's usually like,
I've been that one.
I will survive.
So
a lot of Journey will be there.
Yes.
Spice Girls.
And
Yeah,
so, and so the McMurray says, and then there were four. And Glenn's like, oh, yeah. And then Gail spills.
Oh, yeah.
I have a few ground rules I'd like to cover.
Pertaining to...
Shoot.
No open-mouth kissing. On the mouth.
Pardon?
Figging and cupping and light electro play are all on the table. But I do have soft limits on canine role play and mummification.
Excuse me?
Soft limits.
Observed.
No tushy play unless I ask for it. And I will ask for it. Now, once we get started, it is recommended that you do not look me directly in the eye.
Safe word.
Close, Glenn, but my safe word is...
Oh my! Y'all are polyamorous.
You got it.
Just by being
Finally.
Oh, that's a sin. I'm gonna have to skedaddle.
He was kind of into it until he
Where's
realized.
that kitty?
Tokyo Sayonara.
Yeah, where's that kitty?
Now here, and this is where you and I like both stopped it and we're like, okay, because they're not polyamorous, really.
We're gonna have
they're swingers.
we're gonna have a two minute TED talk. There's a difference between polyamory and swing. Well, polyamory is more of an all encompassing,
right?
Swinging is what
it's a specific.
That's the lifestyle.
That's the lifestyle, right?
So yes.
most people who identify as polyamorous are not looking just to hook up; they're looking to form relationships with multiple people.
Right.
Whereas swingers want to have some fun with someone who isn't their general partner all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, they both fall under non-monogamy.
Exactly.
So,
but people often conflate the two.
Yes.
And and sometimes people who are in or like say that they are polyamorous are actually behaving as I think swingers would. And but yeah, polyamory comes in so many different ways. And
really?
It's
true.
Yeah. And it's like, as a person who is poly, and like, but I think that is probably the most accurate, like looking to create an actual relationship, depending on what kind, like ground rules, rather than just being in a relationship and trying to find a unicorn.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
So that's been our TED Talk. So we finished we're back at the produce stand as we usually are. All the hicks are there, and so Wayne's like, Squirrely Dan, So now you see what I mean by a lifestyle. And he's like, yep. So, and they're still not incredulous that it was happening. Like, they seem so normal. Do they?
Right?
And yeah, it says, pert near everyone in town. Why do you think Rosie stay home? It must have been pretty good. It must have been like the boy at the Leafs camp, which, is a real book. I've looked that up. Boy he's an 18-year-old who's junior player who's got drafted by the Leafs.
Okay.
So that's what the story's about. It was written back in the 80s. The Maple Leafs. So,
I just love, they seem so normal. Do they?
Right.
Do they?
Really?
That's what, do they?
Are you sure about that? They walk amongst us undetected.
But yeah, so it was nice to be back in the comfort zone. And then, Rosie gives a call. Little crave and misbehave. Hard yes.
Oh my gosh.
And that's the end of the episode. So there was,
so much in this episode. This is one of them.
Very meaty.
Yes.
Very meaty. And
this is one of those just every time.
Even the goddamn the hockey players had a lot of dialogue. The hockey players of the skits, lots and lots of dialogue. I mean, which is
usually when it's centered on one group, it's not going to have a full storyline with the other group.
Right.
And it totally did.
Like, there wasn't like a framing story and like a main story. These were two complete stories.
Yeah,
totally
in the episode.
Totally. So let's get into thoughts, theories, questions, and trivia. And first, I'm going to bring up our information from our DGens online. We have Victoria McCabe, who is now our new admin for our Facebook page and group, as well as the Podsgear page. We don't have a group for that. I'm still very confused as to why you would need both, but it's a stupid Facebook thing. Thanks, Facebook. Anyway, she said, even more Wayne autism evidence. Why is Katie still annoyed at McMurray in the later episode after this? I mean, granted, the phrasing was awful. Does this answer last week last week's Had She Had Both question.
Yes.
Ever played Never Have I Ever? If so, best or worst thing you ever revealed or had revealed? I've answered that. I've never played it, so
I cannot on the air admit to anything that might jeopardize my career.
Wait, what was it?
Have you, if you've ever played Never Have I Ever, and if so, what's the most revealing thing? If you feel like sharing.
I don't think I've actually played it in about 15 years because I don't really drink like I did when I was 20 something.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, even then there were things that I would not want to admit on recording.
I'm just like literally, oh my gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
How about this? If we ever get the Letterkenny convention thing going.
Letterkenny Con?
My brain is tired right now.
Lettercon?
If we ever get that going, we could totally have a Never Have I Ever game going on somewhere.
Oh, that would be entertaining.
I think so. I think that would be the nighttime game where we make sure everybody has a Lyft or an Uber ticket to go home.
Or staying in the local hotel.
Yep. And instead of like doing karaoke trivia,
we could have
pass
Chinese,
the microphone
we could
around.
have Chinese karaoke.
Oh my gosh.
Like maybe it's the super soft party or something.
Mandarin. I lived in Taiwan for a while, and so I loved looking at the Chinese karaoke because it was just like actually reading it and then hearing them very poorly sing.
Ever done or had done any of the mentioned goodbyes? Have you ever done one of those?
Oh, I have easily slipped out of a house just saying goodbye to the dog or cat. Easily.
I've actually done the Letterkenny Leave. But it was at like a terrible frat. Yeah, it was a terrible like frat party, and like I just stole their beer and
and they probably didn't even notice.
Probably not.
No one did. I never heard about it. Like it was fine.
So, are there any ones that you can think of that they didn't mention in that? So are there any of those? I mean, this is the first time I've ever heard of any of these things.
I heard them named. I've actually heard of pulling a Houdini. Like that's what I've heard of, pulling a Houdini, where you just kind of disappear.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of thing that I do. But I hadn't actually heard the names of the rest of them. Yeah.
My problem is I don't go in the first place. So
that's true.
Yeah. Me not going that's my modus operandi.
Well, no, you go to house parties more often than any other thing. Like if our friends invite us over to like play games and have a couple of beers, you are designated driver.
Yeah. If I'm playing board games, I'm all right. I can be in my own headspace.
Right.
See, it's that girl doesn't need to be on drugs. Probably a good idea that she didn't take the steroids. Poor trusting hockey players.
Yeah. Why did they not look at the thing that was put in their hands?
Yeah, they didn't even look. They just like, huh?
All right, I'll take it.
Then Valerie Lopez from Facebook, who I mentioned earlier, says, so did you ever notice, I'm doing terrific there, bud, that Tannis didn't partake in the hot tub party? Why is that? Why wouldn't the McMurrays have invited her, and given what they know would have made Wayne uncomfortable to have her in the hot tub with him and then thrive on that? Just my own theory that the McMurrays thrive on discomfort and would have loved watching that happen. Second point, does anyone really believe that Pastor Glenn had no ideas what was happening when he was, what was going on there? It was a fun contradiction to watch play out.
So with the first one, I mean, she heard about the party. She knew it was happening.
Yeah.
So I think they did invite her. I think that the only reason why she came was because she thought she'd get to spend some time with Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
And when she saw that Wayne wasn't in the hot tub and wasn't interested in partying, she was like, all right, I'm out. I'm not even going to go downstairs and say hi.
Yeah.
So like
she says as much.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like she says, like I came here like for you.
Right. And then additionally for the
second part.
Valerie, as I said before, that she is a Patreon patron and is now our highest contributor on Indiegogo. As you remember, she's been on this show.
Yes.
Twice. Is it twice now?
No, Heidi's the only one who's twice.
Once. And
So
she's
far.
actually, she's going to be on Bucket Beach. That's
Yes.
and one of our things is we will give a personalized greeting or whatever you want. And what we're doing here for her is that she just is basically a big reminder that she heads up the Comedy Wham podcast. I mean, she's not the only one involved, but she's the one who heads up the podcast. And she has interviewed K. Trevor Wilson, Michelle Milet, Jacob Tierney,
I know, right?
Nathan Dale. So she's got, there are like currently four articles. If you go out to comedywham.com and put Letterkenny in their search, you will find 4 articles out there. So I highly recommend you'll check them out. I will also put that in our show notes. And also we want to, again, thank you, Valerie. We love you to pieces. You have been there with us just about since the beginning, and have been fantastic to work with and talk to and all that kind of stuff. Also a Texas girl from out in Austin. So,
true story.
Yeah.
Wow.
What was the second part of her question? Because we only talked about the first part there.
The second part. Yeah. Does anyone really believe that Pastor Glenn had no idea what was going on?
I am fully comfortable saying that he knew that Gail was flirting with him.
Yeah.
I think when he realized that all of them were kind of thinking about it, he was like, well, but you're married and that's a sin, so I'm out.
Right.
So it was like he's kind of got soft lines himself when it comes to what could be a sin, because, you know, he wants to get close to Jesus and wine.
Right. So yeah, I think he was definitely,
he was like partially down for Gail and then realized it was everybody and he was like, I can't do that.
Well, not on that. I think he was hoping for Lil Wayne. You know,
he was definitely hoping for Wayne.
Yes. So up top, that's what he was hoping for.
It's sort of, it reminds me of like, because I know people like him in Texas, where it's very clear that he's there for Wayne, but he knows he's supposed to be there for Gail. And so he's okay with it. But I also do think he does have soft lines. But I also wonder, and like when I watched that part, especially them, it was just the fact that they had the closeted gay dude and the black woman. It was like they were being over-sexualized, but desexualized at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's, I think, and from what I've heard from my friends who are up in those small towns, there is a severe lack of, aside from the indigenous folks, black folks up there. So I'm
not, if we're talking about Canada is very white. It looks a lot like the US in most places that you go.
Yeah, especially rural areas.
Especially. Like my mom grew up in Vancouver and she didn't know hardly anybody who wasn't white.
Well, like as you said, growing up here in Seattle.
In Seattle, I didn't meet another black person who was not a member of my family until I was in 3rd grade, which would have put this in 1987 or 88, with the first time I met a black person that was outside of my family. So yeah. And that was in Seattle. Like I was born and raised here.
So yeah, up in north. I mean, is it that black folks don't want to be up north?
I feel like after emancipation or even third slavery, yes we did.
But it's kind of odd though. You would think that there would, you know, in these places that are more accepting.
I mean,
Canada's got its own.
Oh
thing.
no, you're not wrong.
Canada is just as racist as the U.S. Absolutely.
And that's
it just comes out differently. Like in the U.S., it's very much against Latinx and African people, whereas in Canada, it's very much like, oh, you're brown. That's it.
Well,
like it doesn't matter which of those.
And
you're
indigenous
brown.
folks as well. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Okay. Brown, indigenous, Latinx, African American.
Yeah.
Basically,
so yeah.
I mean, and it's a lot like they're a lot more. They were definitely a lot more accepting in my mom's area when I was, as a mixed race child.
Yeah.
I never experienced anything around my mom's family that gave me any issue.
Yeah.
Whereas with my dad's family, I had no problem with my actual family, but they were in Louisiana.
Right.
And my mom pretty much never came with us.
See that
my white mother never came with us.
So I think the surprising part to me about all that is the number of black folks who are still in the South.
Yes,
is much higher than.
I agree.
Yeah,
it's weird to me.
Yeah, I always find that odd. I mean, not that it's it's like when they say, well, you don't like it here in this country, you just leave. I'm like, yeah, it's not quite that simple.
Right.
So yeah, I can understand that aspect of it. But go ahead.
I forget. There was a study that I read that it pointed to the cities that are considered the most racist are actually in the northern part of like the country, because it's like Baltimore, Buffalo, New York, but they attribute that to the fact that when the South was desegregated, you already had families like living next to each other. They just couldn't go to the same institutions. And so when those things were removed, then it was like a forced blending. Whereas up north, where it was considered itself more liberal or progressive. They use that time to entrench things in a way that could not be fixed by desegregation.
Right.
But,
a good example of that, just from my own childhood, would be redlining in Seattle.
Exactly.
Like my parents bought this house. I bought the house for my parents, and they bought it in 1972. And they were the second owners of this house. The house was built at the same time I-5 started making its way up to Canada. So essentially this was a part of Seattle that was completely woods. And they knew all of their neighbors, and of course all of them were white, and most of them were older and had lived there since the houses were built in the 40s. Now that's what it looked like when I was a kid. I was very much the standout. Like everybody knew who I was because I was the only brown kid.
Same.
Yeah. And, as I was growing up and meeting people who consider themselves liberal, and they would say, oh, Seattle's such a liberal city, you've never experienced racism. And I'm like, really? Do we want to talk about the kid in 3rd grade who asked me why I didn't rub more dog shit on my face to look more like the other black kid that went to our school that year? Like, that actually happened in this progressive town. Take a breath. It's okay.
I'm very familiar with that.
Yes.
I've had a friend, like, a similar experience. Like, she went to basically an all-white, girls' private school, and in February, she was asked to do something to represent her people. No. And this was in 7th grade, and she was like, okay. And I went to a private school, and whenever they would do publicity photos, I swear to goodness, they would find me and every other person. We were like, we don't even know each other, but here we are posing in front of the school.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is, when I got probably about 20 years ago, when the internet started getting big and everybody was trying to do web design, I was doing that with my buddy Jason. And the marketing technique at the time was, if you find a black woman, and an Asian woman, have them, if you can find some
in your marketing,
marketing, that's the way to go, because that lets everybody know I'm inclusive. So that was the marketing
of those two things.
Yeah. So then you can have, a white guy after that.
Yeah, of course.
If you've got, a non-white person, especially female, in your marketing, you're good to go. So
I wonder if that's like the current trend of like the ethnically ambiguous, with like 2C hair. Like, it's really like, you can't tell.
There's a lot, I've noticed a lot more biracial folks, kids. It's usually a black white couple, husband, wife, whichever way it goes. But then they've got their biracial kids. So I've seen that a lot more in commercials. Usually it's like, cereal and things like that. Yeah. So I've seen that a lot more lately, which I'm glad to see. Representation matters, of course.
Absolutely.
And it reminds me of when I took like marketing and advertising classes in undergrad, and we had this book that essentially very coldly, in a kind of creepy way, outlined how each like specific groups were advertised to, using the exact same ad, just like replicated and changed to target certain groups. Mm-hmm. And it's weird how down to a science people think that they have it, which is what makes it weirder when companies mess up completely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because the marketing is smarter and smarter. We just watched that documentary about Facebook, called the Great Hack, which, you think your phone's listening to you. No, they've just got you fucking nailed down.
And your phone's actually listening to you in the case of some of it. Having a conversation the other day with a friend of mine who was talking about going back to school for something that is nothing anywhere related to what I do. I'm getting ads for it now. It's interesting.
You have a conversation with your phone the other day.
Exactly.
So, let's see. Did I have anything else? Oh yeah, actually I wanted to talk about, there was, this little bit of trivia here that, when the hockey players were talking was, that they needed, Charlotte Gainsborough and a Serge of Gainsborough. Now, Charlotte Gainsborough is an actor / musician, and she's French and English. Her father is Serge Gainsborough.
Yep.
That was I was like, that has to mean something, because we'd leave on the closed captioning, and I saw the way they spelled Serge. and then I saw Charlotte, and I'm like, So I started looking it up, and then that's what that is. So, and even I checked the valuable place for information about Letterkenny is the Letterkenny Wikia.
Oh yeah.
Lots of good stuff out there. Let's see. And then they go through all of the baseball players who've been who've had some problems. Now, one of the things I was kind of curious about is the books that Wayne mentions. Carrie, and I mean, I'm sure that the one about a boy at the Leafs camp is probably one that he was supposed to have read. I'm kind of curious about the Carrie one. So I wonder if Wayne is into horror or Stephen King. So it just kind of made me.
I mean, one of the things that really kind of tipped me off to, hey, you dum-dum, you're on the spectrum, not just teaching kids who are, is the fact that I have very, very specialized interests when it comes to what I read. And yeah, Stephen King started that for me. Absolutely. In fact, it was Carrie, and I was 5.
It was her first chapter book.
It was my first chapter book.
Really?
No, actually, it wasn't my first chapter book. It was my first adult book, but I started reading almost right off, like when I was about 3, I started reading and fluently reading.
That you were reading Carrie at 5.
Yeah. I stole my dad's copy of Carrie and climbed under the table and hid all day reading. Only climbed out once to ask my mom. I can't remember exactly what the question was, but it had something to do with the menstruation scene. And then being confused about the pillows. Like, why is she calling her boobs pillows? Like, my mom loves to tell that story. Apparently there was like a party or something. They had friends over and I just like kept popping out from under the table.
So that's all I've got on trivia. You have any? Oh yeah, you had something.
I looked up soft pass because I was like, oh, that's got to be an exact thing. And the definition is so funny to me in this situation.
From Urban Dictionary.
So Urban Dictionary calls soft pass the opposite of a hard pass, something that you have some interest in, but ultimately cannot do.
Oh, okay.
So Wayne, I'm going to have to soft pass. Like, that sounds interesting, but I don't think I can do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I can see that. That's definitely an Aspie thing to.
Oh, yeah. Like, now that I know that, I'm 100% going to shut up. I'm going to have to soft pass on that one. If I have spoons, I might change my mind.
You up for a little bit of toe curling tonight? I'm going to have to soft pass, baby.
My hips hurt.
All right. So have we got all of our thoughts, theories, questions, trivia, observations?
All the ones that I asterisked.
Okay. Genesis, you have any?
Oh, although Mrs. McMurray looked very visually like bummed out when Dan got out. The rest of them, she was like, okay. But when Dan got out, she was like, oh. And I just loved that because I would do the same thing. I would be like,
yeah, right?
Oh,
Daniel.
You're the one that makes me laugh.
And you've got big fingers.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, my. All right. So we ready for?
Yes.
Fuck. Fight.
That's beautiful.
Fuck, fight, Ferda. Those are all from the show. So,
yeah, we were just talking about how we needed a bumper for that, and I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
we'll see how people think about that.
So, not so lots of characters in this episode. So this,
but all the main ones.
All the main ones. So this is going to be a short fuck fight, Ferda. And for those of you, playing the home game, this is our version of Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Yes.
We're not getting married to anybody and we're not killing anybody. So we're either going to fight them or they're going to be our buddies.
Ferda.
And so,
oh my gosh.
And like we do. Yeah, go ahead. You have something?
Oh, no. I'm just entertained. From like shock jock to baseball announcer to like.
And to the outfield. We're going to start with Wayne. Genesis, would you like to start with Wayne or shall we have Tiara go first?
Oh, what pronouns do both of you use? I should have asked that at the beginning. Like,
I'm he, him.
I'm she, they. I'm gender fluid. So.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure. Well, you can have them go first. I'm just like.
Okay. Wayne, in this, I love in this episode that he's just kind of like. He's got his hard line on taking off his clothes and wearing someone else's swimsuit. I think that's just adorable.
Yeah.
I kind of want to just sit out on the porch and have a dart with him. And especially because, if he didn't give in to Tanis in this episode, he's not giving in to me. So, Ferda for Wayne. Ferda for Wayne.
Yeah.
Wayne is not polyamorous.
Nope. And this is not the first time Tanis is going to be trying to.
It wasn't the first time, and it will not be the last.
Nope. I mean, not that I blame her. But
Either of them. Rosie, too.
Oh, God. Clark Bacco is so gorgeous. Anyway, Genesis.
Okay, I was going to say, you got a moment.
We swoon. It's a thing.
Honestly, just pure curiosity, Gail. Like, I really like the entirety of like her having her exact things that she's absolutely interested in.
Absolutely
makes me like curious about other things, and like I do have difficulty with the character sometimes, but that sort of direct open consent and like desired action is something that I am wholly behind.
Absolutely.
So
you're jumping ahead to Gail. That's fine.
Yeah,
we can totally do that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
no, it's okay.
we do each character. You give your ranking for each character. So we start with Wayne, then go to Katie, et cetera, et cetera. So
okay. Well, Wayne. I mean, he was definitely true to character. I also do love following his reading list, and one day I'll get to actually reading like everything that he has. I also do respect the fact that like you said, like they said rather, that he respects the boundaries of his relationship without making it awkward for anyone else.
Yeah.
Like he firmly like tells Tanis no, but doesn't do it in a way that's belittling, but just because that's not for him.
Well, and it's
call
obvious.
it kind of a rat. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was almost a flirty though. Like I feel like that was just him just going, yeah, you're a mess.
Yeah.
Like that to me, that's the kind of way I flirt though. Like absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna call you an asshole, and you know that there's gonna be a little grin in my face.
Oh my God.
Sorry, that's just
no, you're fine. But no, that really, because I feel like he, even within the context of his relationship with Rosie, he acknowledges that there is still probably something there with Tanis, but he knows that because he's in a relationship with Rosie, that's nothing that he's going to do.
Yes.
True.
Yeah.
Yes. True. So you're Ferda with Wayne then?
Ferda, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Now, Miss Katie.
I think this is I don't even know if I have as much of an opinion on her because on this episode because she served to fill in spots where like Wayne wasn't.
Yeah.
And like as a character, she didn't really. She didn't really shine.
Yeah.
Like she was there to riff off of people. She was there to like provide exposure and explain certain things, but she was just kind of
there,
middle of the road.
Yeah.
Well, also since the had a busy winter since that whole bit. She's
calmed
down. She's pulled back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of agree. I'm guessing that you were going toward Ferda on there.
It's literally like I feel like it's like a soft Ferda. Like it's literally, yeah.
Well,
I would agree on that one.
So yeah, the way I always position this is that if they are willing to go with any of these options, I mean, I'm assuming that Wayne would go with the fight option if you
probably,
and Katie might as well. So,
want to have a scrap? Kick in the crotch. All right,
right in the Twiffer.
That's a new one for me.
Well, that was in the show.
I totally missed that one out of all of them.
Yeah, but so I'm gonna say there's an assumption with this game that there is consent. If you wanted to, they would be like, yeah, okay,
yeah.
So whether and that's why regardless of what you're feeling, if you wanted that. Yeah. What would happen in real life? This is fantasy.
Right. And my brain, again, this is the Demi brain, I bet, because I'm more likely to not say fuck over characters, even if I am sexually attracted to them physically.
Yeah.
Because just being sexually attracted to somebody does not mean that I have any interest in them. And I have no interest in having sex really with someone I'm not interested in.
Yeah. And I think also at this point we've, even though this is about this episode,
right.
We've built a relationship with these characters for so long.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when it comes to Wayne and Katie, I probably majority Ferda them.
Yeah.
Even though Wayne could very much make my toes curl.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I have a feeling it's just I don't think I could have a relationship with a person who has a brain like me. I need someone to steer me back to what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. So you're Ferda. Genesis, you're Ferda as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
no, that's fine.
There's no justification needed on any of this.
Yeah, it's whatever you feel. This is your fuck fight Ferda.
I mean, I feel like it would be theoretically because it is fantasy Ferda, but also knowing that she's not looking for anything,
right?
I would not even try that.
Right. In real life, you wouldn't try to push yourself onto somebody who isn't looking for that right now. Definitely.
But if there was, if
there was some flirting,
if you happen to show up and they're like, whoa. Hey now.
Okay, then, of course.
Let's go with Derry.
Always.
So cute though. He's so cute in this episode.
Exactly.
The whole thing about the chewing the cinnamon
gum, right?
That's how white boy is that?
It really is. Oh my god. As white as him using banana boat.
As cologne.
Yep.
Derry gets even more endearingly awkward as the show goes on.
Yeah,
in the beginning, I definitely didn't have any attraction to him, but most of that is you're wearing your barn clothes and your socks stink and you eat yogurt. But now
he had a little bit. Yeah, he's gotten more nuance to him since the first couple of seasons where he was a bit more hard edged.
Mm-hmm.
He was definitely Wayne's wingman as far as I got your back in the scrap every time.
And in fact. Probably
down,
Here's a question.
Yes.
What would happen if Wayne and Derry fought?
Wayne would win.
Yeah.
But in some of the ones that we've seen lately, some of the fights, we see Derry save Wayne.
Yeah. That happened. Yeah. With the.
I think it's happened twice.
Right. I don't know about twice. I know it's happened once.
Okay.
So
I think it would depend on what the issue was. Like if it was just them fighting each other to fight each other, I'm not sure how it would go.
Yeah.
But if Derry had slighted Wayne,
yes,
I think then like that it would be. I think it would be over quickly there because I feel like Derry would be more likely to show restraint to hit Wayne.
Yes, I agree with that one.
And so Wayne would just go at him.
I'm more curious about a Wayne Squirrely Dan fight.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Because Dan
too fat to run.
Yeah, I don't think because he wouldn't have to run. He's just going to be standing there. I think he could probably take the punishment. He had that one guy jump on his back, and he just looked mildly annoyed.
Flicked him off. Yeah.
Squirrely Dan, he's a big dude.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anyway, so where are we on Derry then? Are we Ferda on him? Are we Ferda on him?
Ferda.
Okay.
I'm actually going to say I would fuck him.
All right.
If he was into it, like his giggle when he started getting uncomfortable and realizing,
yes,
I don't know what it is when people giggle, but it is so, it's so hot.
It's a sign of like actual like true comfort. Right. People can do a fake laugh, people can do like a fake smile, but a giggle is like automatic.
Right. Yes. You can't hold it. You can't hold it in. It's like
right.
I love it.
All right. So Squirrely Dan's.
I'm just about always fucking Squirrely Dan.
Yes. Like he is the definition of a bear, and I am about that.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Dean has a very similar build to Squirrely Dan, and I dig it.
I love your
What was that?
Yeah, like Dean has a similar build.
Similar build.
Yeah.
Now we're going to talk about McMurray.
No, don't do the voice. Again, if McMurray would keep his mouth shut, I could be a bit into it.
He's got a nice build.
He's got a pretty good body. I could be into like a one-nighter if he didn't talk. Or more likely it would be a two of them together because I don't think I could actually with McMurray by himself.
It's so it's funny about it's hearing I can never pronounce his last name. His first name is Daniel.
Yes.
He's got a Russian last name.
Yeah.
Him different. Talking and when he does his little accents and stuff from behind the scenes, it's really funny. It's very different from how he sounds in real life. So are we?
Can I put Mr. and Mrs. McMurray together?
You could, I suppose.
If they've never had a threesome, I could volunteer for that.
Well, here's the thing. I think, especially in this episode, they seem to be a package deal. Kind of like how Riley and Jones are a package deal.
That was kind of what I was thinking.
All right, I'm fine with that.
Like, I would be down for a threesome with them.
All right.
Same.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Glenn.
Oh, Glenn.
Glenn. Oh, just like.
I would just love to hang out with Glenn.
Yeah.
I'm like,
he's
I'm
still
on the
too much
fence 'cause as a
Jesus
person-
thumper for me, but I would be such a damn sinner in his eyes. It's not even funny.
Well, as a person who is actively on Grindr and has hooked up with some people who are it's sort of like I want to say no, but I would just be scrolling and like messaging him. I'm saying like I would never. But like it's
He'd want
conflicted.
He would want to talk you out of whatever sin you're doing, but he would. It's funny. I think he judges not personally, and it's like it's like
it's like how he and the Skids have almost found this like newfound respect for each other because he didn't go. Well, he did, but once he realized these guys are actual people, treat them like people, and they're like, oh, we can actually share this space. And I think Glenn is a character that has grown a lot since the series started.
There's definitely been an evolution.
Oh yeah.
So we are Ferda on Glenn?
I'm Ferda.
Okay.
Ferda.
I'm a solid Ferda on that one.
Glail.
There's an N in there somewhere.
I can't do it. I don't have the right mouth proportion.
So what Genesis, what you were saying earlier really kind of it like resounded in my mind a little bit. When you meet people in like the kink community, they can rattle off exactly what they'd be interested in or what their hard no's are. Just like
they have their want,
routine.
will, won't list.
Yeah, exactly. And I fully fucking respect that, especially when you're entering into a situation where it's not going to be a relationship and just like a one night. These are the things that I'm willing to do with you. These are the things that you will not do. And these are the things that we can discuss as it comes
negotiate.
up. Yeah.
That is how I flirt, essentially. Like, I'm very bad at flirting, so it's just like here's like a list of things, and like we're gonna see where this will go.
All
like, please check off the box that you want. No,
that could probably work on me. That could probably work on me.
Yeah.
All right, Riley and Jonesy.
I just want to hang out with them.
Yeah.
I feel like they remind me too much of every boy I went to high school with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So, like,
Same.
Not into it. Yeah. Like,
I would Ferda because they do seem like they would be fun to hang out with and, just like, I mean, I don't drink beer, but like have a beer with them.
Yeah.
I'd have a beer. But yeah, I have very, very rarely gone any other way but Ferda with those two.
I think you've only fucked
and it was
one
of
them once.
them. Yeah.
When they were separated. So then let's go with the Skids because they're kind of all together in this one. I mean,
and this is a weird thing with the Skids. I love this episode because they use these giant words and this beautiful prose while they're talking about hockey players and drugs and just you're like you listen to you listen to the way that they talk and you're like, Jesus, you are really well educated. Why are you pushing meth? Like this is really
because
like,
no one else is. They've got
they've got a corner market.
Yeah, they're very much about the business. They're not great at it, but
but like I find that so fascinating because I can honestly say like most of the people that I grew up with have at least dabbled in other substances that are not necessarily legal, depending on where you live.
Some banned substances.
And I will fully admit to being a huge pothead, but I'm also a teacher. And if I didn't, I probably would not be able to handle my job. I don't smoke while I'm at work. It's completely off work time and it's legal in my state. Cool. Yeah. I have never been interested in doing things like, I don't know, meth.
About the only other thing that I would ever be interested in doing would be probably mushrooms.
Same. Hallucinogens I'm into, but it's been 20 years.
Yeah, that's about the only thing. And I've never tried them, but it's the only thing I've ever done, aside from prescription drugs that were prescribed to me, has been weed. That's it.
He's a good boy.
Okay, well, I guess I'm going to be out there. Like, I've done peyote, acid, shrooms. I do smoke like ecstasy.
Wow.
I did like acid and ecstasy at the same time.
Oh my!
It was, like candy flipping like twice in one semester. It was really
great. Oh boy!
But it seems like but I've tried a lot of. Well, actually, and I got the peyote because a friend of mine was doing like her thesis on indigenous peoples in Arizona and Mexico, and she managed to be able to acquire it.
Procure the peyote.
I think like just going back to like why are they selling meth? For some reason, the drug dealers that I've met in my life have been all ridiculously well educated. Like just
if they're good, they have to be.
Yeah.
And like just it's like very pulled together, and it is very odd because they'll have like actual jobs, but then, like this is another thing that they do. It's very, like just very weird. Like
yeah. So where were we?
I missed that.
I don't think we're fighting them.
We're definitely not fighting them. I always kind of like in the back of my head, I'm like, keep the skids as, friends because you might want to go to them someday for blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Especially because some of the stuff that makes me relax is not necessarily stuff that I can get from a doctor.
True.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah. So
again, not saying anything.
Are we all? Are we all? We're all further on that on the skids. Then?
Yeah.
Innuendo.
Yeah. I mean, the only one I could ever, if I swung that way, the only one I could ever be with would be Rolled. Because
you have a total crush on him.
I adore Rolled.
Yeah.
So.
I want to be to use the language that we used to say in high school, which amongst my friends who we still talk that way, but we don't necessarily out in the open.
It's not PC.
It's not PC, but I'm also queer, so I feel like I can say it. I kind of want to be Rolled's fruit fly. Do you know what I mean?
I want to, Well, actually,
it's the more PC version of fag hag, right?
Yes, yes. But that's what we called it in high school.
Yeah,
because a name who I will not out on our radio.
Yes.
Like that.
Say that last part again.
There was a movie musical called Fruit Fly about a fruit fly. Like she, it's about her and like her experience.
Shut up. Okay, I have to
I'm not kidding.
And it's a more humorous version of Beard.
Yes, yes.
I would actually like to see what because I've always imagined honestly Rolled being into like puppy play, and I would be interested to see that. Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
Well, I mean, he has been. I mean,
he essentially,
because remember with Devin, he was on the board on the cardboard. Yeah.
Interesting. I had not actually thought of that, but he wears a friggin' collar.
Yeah.
I wonder if Stuart has collared him.
Exactly.
I wonder if they already. Yeah.
I don't know. Could be
because that doesn't have to be necessarily a sexual relationship.
No.
So
it's just intimate.
Yeah. And they are definitely intimate with each other, not necessarily in a sexual way.
They've touched tubes.
Tubes. Yes.
The only other characters. So the student.
There's one you're missing. The big one you're missing.
Who did I miss?
I'll show you my hardcover.
Oh fuck! How did I fucking miss Tannis?
Right?
Jesus Christ!
Okay, fuck.
Wow.
Just putting that.
Well,
nope.
do we even have to? I don't
Tannis.
even have to.
No, it's a capital F-U-C-K. Like it's literally.
It's big Tannis energy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Big Tannis energy.
Fuck your big dick energy. This is big Tannis energy, and that's right. Bigger.
Fuck yeah.
Oh yes, without a doubt. Dude, I feel like I need a cold shower.
Right?
Yep.
If I lived in Letterkenny, I would,
I'd be hanging out in the res quite a bit at that
Hell
library.
yeah, auntie. Let me call you auntie. Oh, yes. Take care of me, baby. Shit.
I know we've got one of our Letterkenny friends she says, I want her to step on my throat.
No.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh yes.
So
now that's not usually my kink, but I'm kind of into that now. Thinking about it.
Ooh, my. All right, so we're everybody's fucking Tannis.
Everybody, except Wayne.
Except Wayne. Yeah, at this point. Anyway.
At this point.
I was gonna say Burnett, right? But we're not yet.
So the only other speaking characters was the student, the girl who was trying to,
and the Snipes.
Yeah, and the Snipes.
But those are NPCs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, don't know how old that student girl is.
True.
Right. High school or college?
I'm guessing college for sure.
Yeah.
That's my guess is college.
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't think I've ever. Well, yeah, I'm not gonna. I've never.
You don't like to think about it because you have kids who are in high school
and one in college. Anyway, so but the Snipes are cute, and she was cute. So but yeah. All right, they all had speaking roles, so I had to bring it up.
Technically, yes. Okay, but no.
So we're fucking them, right? No.
Oh, Lord.
All at once.
Anyway.
Wow.
All right.
So have I covered everything of season 4, episode 5? the Letterkenny Leave?
I'm good. Is there anything you wanted to bring up?
Well, I think honestly it was just like a weird side thing that seemed odd to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like the idea of, okay, because I've gone through HRT. And so, and I when Stewart gave him like pills, I was just like, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
Like,
I was
it's
expecting
like,
an injection or something.
It is, right. Like even either that, there's the gel, but it doesn't work in like a pill form.
Yeah.
Like it has to be, because the way that it needs to be absorbed has to, and so I was just like, it wasn't like a real pet peeve, but it was just something along the lines of,
I wonder,
why would you could be accurate. Like,
I wonder if they did that just because they wanted to make it
right.
And easy switchable.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Right, you would have to, but it was still just like, which also, is why I find it like,
yeah, I was going to say, also, it makes it seem that, when you're talking about they're going to have to inject something, it kind of makes that show a little more edgy than the show overall is fairly lighthearted. Mm-hmm. So once you're talking about injectable things.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's also, it made me, like you alluded to earlier, why didn't they read the bottle? At the same time, they knew about cycling. Like, so cycle means they would know what to look for, and what they should be having. And so it was just like, I know the hockey players,
because they did ask,
typically kind of, but they would know.
Yeah, because they said, "What's this?" And then Stewart says, "Edibles." So,
yeah.
Which that is odd, for sure. All right, so I think that as far as all my notes and everything covers the gamut of this episode.
Yeah.
So, again, thanks to all of our new patrons. We have a couple of new patrons. Courtney Skagg, also, I wanted to bring up real quick. And we've hit we've got 4 contributors on our Indiegogo campaign. So, folks, if you can, please contribute. If you can't, share the link with
it doesn't cost you anything to share it with people
Yeah, and that's we want to be able to do more of these things like this, and it helps. But yeah,
and the better quality equipment we have, the more enjoyable your experience is going to be too.
Exactly.
Especially you can see, Dean just went through and remastered season 1, episode 1, and episode 2,
and 3. I haven't just
and 3, but it's not up yet.
Yeah.
In order to make it more along the quality of what you're hearing now, instead of the equipment that we had when we first started.
Right.
And it's all about having something for you guys to enjoy.
Right.
It's not all for us. I mean, we're definitely getting a lot out of this.
Yeah.
And I am so much enjoying being able to have the opportunity to do this podcast with someone who I love very much. And we can just play off each other all the time. But
we do that anyway.
We do that anyway. This is how we are in real life. I mean, in real life, there might be a few more arguments that you don't hear on the podcast, but other than that.
And we don't do sex on the podcast.
True. We talk about it a lot. But
we'll go for a little toe curling.
But anyway.
So, and also thank you to Lizzie Boredom for the music for the show.
Yes.
And Genesis, thank you so much for coming on here. I know we had some technical issues starting off.
I know. I'm so
that's
sorry.
Okay. No,
you're not the
it
first.
happens.
You're not the first one. You won't be the last. So
that's what happens when you're inviting people from the audience to come and join you.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, because I do Podscure where everybody else is a podcaster that we talk to. They have all the equipment. So I can't expect that everybody's going to have it. So it is what it is, and we'll figure it out. And I think, that's part of the reason I want to get this new equipment for the podcasts, is so that it's easier for even folks who don't have that same type of connectivity that they can get in. So, but Genesis, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
You've been lovely, and you're insightful, and I'm glad we've gotten to know each other online. You're great.
If you ever come up to Seattle, make sure you let us know so we can hang out with you.
Definitely.
I'm not going to a small town in Texas. I'm just telling you that right now.
And I don't know if I want to visit him because he insulted the Aggies. So
I don't really have a dog in this race. So.
He will once his son starts playing football in college. Then he'll like football, whatever that is.
I mean, I kind of root for TCU just because
family.
Out of memory for my stepdad.
Yep.
So that's about it. And so Cowboys fan. That's it. But thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you.
It was so much fun.
It was a pleasure. Yeah.
All right. Take care now.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to How Are You Now, the toughest podcast in Letterkenny. We truly appreciate that about you. If you like what you're hearing, subscribe and give us a nice review. If you don't, well, there's always them D-Gents from Upcountry. Also, check out our Indiegogo campaign, Patreon, and merch. The links are both in the show notes and on our website, howareyounowpod.com. If you'd like to contact us, we can be reached at hosts@howareyounowpod.com. We're also on the all-important social media if you'd like to catch us there. This week's show music was from Lizzie Boredom. You can find them at lizzieboredom.bandcamp.com. The rest of their contact information can be found in our show notes. Remember, our cosplay contest is continuing each month. Check out our website for rules and information. We'll see you D-Gens next time.